House has just released the draft of its massive energy and climate bill. It is a measure Democrats claim will create millions of new jobs and reduce our dependency on foreign oil. This legislation is also expected to fuel a big battle on the Hill. Jim Angle is in D.C. for us. Jim, what does this proposal say?
Well, Jane, it talks about dozens of aspects of energy policy and plans to impose a tax on carbon emissions, though Mr. Waxman, who is the chief author, leaves unanswered how onerous those taxes might be. Now, Mr. Waxman is throwing 100 hooks in the water here in an effort, it seems, to figure out where he can get support for sweeping legislation that would permanently alter how the United States gets its energy, Jane.
What's the overall aim here?
Well, the general goal is to reduce carbon emissions, which would hit coal states particularly hard because coal produces half of the nation's electricity. Waxman would cut carbon emissions to 20% below 2005 levels by 2020. And both he and the president would cut carbon emissions by more than 80% by 2050. To do that, you need a hefty tax on carbon emissions, and as I said, that would hit coal-reliant states very hard. Keep in mind, some Midwestern states get 80, 85, 90, even 95% of the electricity they have from coal, so they would get hammered. The administration wants to use most of the revenues generated by that to help consumers and industry, but analysts say there is no way that can make people whole under either the goals set by Waxman or the administration.
And okay. Republicans, instead of calling this cap and trade, they're calling it cap and tax. What do they mean?
Well, it's not just Republicans, actually. Now there are some key Democrats as well, including John Larson, who's in the Democratic leadership. They call it cap and tax because it obviously imposes a tax. And Mr. Larson says, why don't we just call it that and impose a tax and dispel with all this trade stuff, which a lot of people find a little difficult to penetrate and wonder just how well it will work. Mr. Larson tells Fox that a cap and trade is a tax on energy, so we should just be straightforward about it and call it that. Jane, this is an issue that is only getting started, but it will change all our lives in the coming years, I can assure you.
Jim Angle on the Hill for us. Jim, thanks.